Welcome to Darkside Mysteries. Today I tell you 3 real mysterious events. Without wasting any time, let's get started. This is the story of a death that didn't truly end, even after the final breath. Today, I'll tell you the tale of the Greenbrier ghost from 1897, where a mother's belief and the presence of a ghost changed everything, even the court's verdict. Zona Heaster, a young woman full of joy, had just started a new life with her husband, Trout Shoe, but only 3 months after their marriage, one day, her body was found at the bottom of the stairs in her own home, still, cold, lifeless. Zona's body was lying in an unnatural position, as if she had fallen awkwardly to the ground, but her mother, Mary Jane Heaster, always felt that something was wrong. She had this feeling that her daughter was trying to tell her something. Some hidden truth, some secret mystery, as if an invisible story was being woven right in front of her eyes. A few nights later, Mary got her chance. She claimed that Zona's spirit appeared to her over 4 nights. Zona told her she didn't die by accident. She was strangled to death. And the one responsible was none other than her husband, Trout. Mary believed her daughter's spirit. She took this ghostly testimony to local lawyers. At first, no one believed it who would bring a ghost story to court, but Mary remained firm in her claim. Finally, the police decided to exhume Zona's body, and what they discovered was shocking. The neck had indeed been broken, and there were strangulation marks on her throat. When this evidence was presented in court, Trout Shoe was found guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison. Zona's spirit had become the key evidence in bringing her killer to justice. A mother's belief and a ghost's presence had punished a murderer. Even today, in Greenbrier County, people still talk about this case. Some believe that Zona Heaster's spirit still visits her mother to say thank you. Others believe that her restless spirit still roams the area, as if there's more she wants to say, even after justice has been served. It was a dark, rainy night. The town was asleep, and no one knew that this was the night a young girl would vanish without a trace. Her name was Brianna Maitland, and it all began on March 19, 2004. That day seemed normal, just like any other. Brianna finished her shift at the Black Lantern Inn around 11:20 p.m. alone, driving into the cold, rainy night. Headed home, her car lights cutting through the darkness as she drove. But that night, she never made it home, and after that no one ever saw her again. The next morning, someone found Brianna's car parked strangely by an old, broken-down farmhouse on Route 118. The car's back end was crashed into the house, and her things were scattered around inside and outside the car. But Brianna was gone. At first, the police thought it might be an accident, but then they noticed something was wrong. Her necklace was broken and lying on the ground. 2 paychecks, money she had earned, were left behind in her car, untouched. Would Brianna really just leave these things if she was planning to go somewhere? Some people said they saw her car that night near the farmhouse. They saw its headlights on. But no one saw Brianna. It was like she had disappeared into thin air. Many think she was kidnapped. Others say she might have run away, but her family disagrees. They believe she would never just leave everything like that. There were also rumors. Some said there was a dangerous drug scene in the area. Could that have something to do with her vanishing? But there's no proof. In 2016, the police tested for DNA from her car, but no new leads came up. Years have passed, and still, no one knows what happened to Brianna. Just a dark, rainy night and an abandoned car. Brianna is still missing. Her family is still waiting, hoping for answers, justice. What really happened on that rainy night in 2004? A mystery that remains unsolved. It was Christmas Eve, 1945, a night of celebration, joy, and family. But for the Sodder family in Fayetteville, West Virginia, this night would turn into a nightmare they never could have imagined. and one that would leave haunting questions for decades to come. George and Jenny Sodder, along with their 10 children, were settling in for a cozy night. The house was filled with holiday warmth until the unthinkable happened. At around 1 a.m., a sudden fire broke out in the Sodder home. Within minutes, the flames raged through the house, consuming everything in their path. George, Jenny, and 4 of their children managed to escape. But 5 of their children, well, they were nowhere to be found. 5 children gone, but the strange part, no remains were ever found. Authorities quickly concluded that the children had perished in the fire. But there was one huge problem: not a single bone, not even the slightest trace, was found. Nothing, as if they had simply vanished. In his desperation to save his children, George Sodder ran to grab his ladder, only to find it missing. It was later discovered thrown in a nearby ditch. Then he tried starting his truck, hoping to drive it up close and reach a window. But both of his trucks, which had worked fine just hours before, wouldn't start. Imagine that. Your home is in flames, 5 of your children are trapped inside, and every attempt to save them seems to be blocked by some unseen force. Days after the fire, as the family sifted through the ashes, George and Jenny became convinced their children hadn't died in the blaze. They'd been taken. Strange clues started appearing. Years later, Jenny received a photograph of a young man, bearing an uncanny resemblance to one of her missing sons. The family began receiving cryptic letters and reported sightings of the children around the country. Each hint raised a new question. Could the Sodder children be alive? Were they taken from their home on that fateful night? George Sodder had made enemies. He was outspoken against the Mussolini regime in Italy, and some suspected that his anti-fascist views had something to do with the disappearance. Had his family become a target? Was this an elaborate kidnapping meant to punish him? Theories have ranged from government conspiracies, mafia involvement, or even supernatural intervention. Despite a private investigator's help, despite dozens of interviews, and even a reward of $5,000 for information, the Sodder children were never found. And to this day, their fate remains one of the greatest mysteries in American history. Did the Sodder children perish that night, or is there more to this story than meets the eye? Tell us what you think. Did the Sodder children really vanish in the fire, or did someone want them to disappear? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more dark mysteries.